Welcome back to another video on how much it costs to go out in, this time, Miami. We're also going to be talking about 3 Points, which is the festival coming up, which happens every year since 2013, founded by 4 friends. To preface, the prices that you're going to see ballparked in this video are drawing from 3 separate experiences I've had in recent years visiting Miami. I personally really enjoyed Miami every time I visited, especially because the techno and house music scene is very vibrant there, and also it's not that long of a flight away from New York, especially to temporarily escape the long winters here in New York. So first, let's talk about how much ticket prices cost in Miami. Prices range anywhere from free entry up to $55, depending on the venue and the act. And these are based off of my experiences visiting Space Miami, Treehouse, and Do Not Sit on the Furniture. For 3 Points, the tickets I bought were around $200 for a 2-day festival back in 2021. The lineup was stacked, and given the fact that there weren't that many festivals to go around back in 2021, I, along with a lot of other New Yorkers, jumped on the opportunity to attend. The lineup was absolutely stacked, featuring the likes of Eric Prydz, Jamie XX, Peggy Gou, Macioplex, Patrick Topping, and on Saturday, Rufus, Wu-Tang, Kaytranada, Zoo, Black Coffee, Michael Beebe, hopefully he's feeling better now, and RIP to Virgil as well. But as you can see, a lot of amazing acts were featured in the lineup. And just a quick comment on the logistics of the festival. It was situated in Wynwood, so think of it like the Bushwick of Miami. And while the festival lineup was stacked and amazing, which also was the reason why it drew a lot of crowds, the place was kind of small, so I think there were a lot of congestions happening where everyone was trying to get to the festival at the same time. Lines were supposedly really long for will call pickup as well. Definitely try and get there early to avoid waiting in long lines. As for the price of hotels, the average 4 to 5 star hotel that I had stayed at ranged anywhere from $100 to $180 per person per night. And typically, South Beach is more expensive, and while the norther you go, the cheaper it typically gets. However, I will say that traffic in Miami can be quite congested, and depending on where you plan on heading out or staying in the most, you should definitely try and book accommodation near that area. I made this mistake the first time I visited Miami and was always stuck on the I-95 that connected between the north or south beaches to the Wynwoods and downtown Miami's. So I definitely recommend you to try and plan ahead and figure out which side you're going to be frequenting the most and book your accommodation according to that. Moving on to transportation costs, a flight from New York to Miami typically costs around $150 to $300 round trip depending on seasonality. There are 2 airports at the very minimum that you can fly into, being MIA and FLL, both of which I've flown into before, and I'd suggest FLL actually if you're going to be on the North Beach, as it's actually a lot closer than you'd think. As far as transportation goes in Miami, public transport is not as robust as it is in New York, so we definitely Ubered a lot more than we had hoped, but definitely take that into account while you're budgeting and figuring out the accommodations as well. And finally, food. Food options there were amazing. The price points were also pretty varied. It could be anything from a $10 Cuban sandwich to a $100 plus sit-down dinner at a fancy restaurant, which probably also exists in New York. So definitely recommend you to explore all the different options you have there, and there's a lot of good food available. Hopefully you found this useful for your next trip to Miami to experience amazing house and techno music. Until then, see you in the next one. Bye!